So we're going to take a look at both AP Classroom and some of the stuff I have in Canvas for y'all. So the first thing we're going to look at is actually in Canvas, and we've talked about this guy before. I introduced it at the beginning of the year, beginning of the semester, and I put it back up here. Where are they? I thought I put it back up here. Well, let me just scroll to the top. Okay, so in physics resources, remember I gave you these things on mechanics and E&M, these learning objectives. So I'm going to pull these back up. So remember at the beginning of the year, I showed you guys this. You probably haven't given too much thought since then, but now is the perfect time to look at it. So this sheet, again, you guys, if you want to make your own copies, you can. Hopefully you made your copies before. So again, this is like a checklist. So this is all of the learning objectives for this year. It has, for instance, this is mechanics, so think back to mechanics, it's been a minute. So like Unit 1 kinematics, and it's broken down into all of these. So we have the sections here, like, 1.1 is scalars and vectors. And so this one here, the actual learning objective is like 1.1a, describe a scalar or vector quantity using magnitude and direction as appropriate. Okay, so how do you use this list? So at this point, you should be able to kind of fill it out. You should say, oh, I know what this is talking about, and either you can do that or you can't. Hopefully all of you guys can do that. Does that make sense? So if you're filling out this list for yourself, like I said, you should have made your own copy, and then you would just hit the checkbox right there to put a little mark in it. Does that make sense? So you can go down this list, think about what you know and what you don't know. So again, this is all mechanics, and then I have the other one for E&M. And so this is all just listed out here. Now, some of these may not be specific enough. You might think like, okay, well, how do I describe a scalar or vector? And so remember, I have the essential knowledge linked in here for each unit broken down. And so again, this is 1.1a, describe vector quantity using magnitude and direction. So we just talked about that. So right in here, everything from this highlighted point to the next highlighted point, that's 1.2, all of these things, this is what it means very specifically, right? These are the things, this is the knowledge and skills that you guys should have. So if you say that you're confident with scalars and vectors, then you're going to be, they're described by magnitude, so scalars are described by magnitude only, vectors are quantities described by both magnitude and direction. You know that, right? Vectors can be visually modeled as areas with appropriate direction and lengths proportional to their magnitude. That makes sense? So like you can kind of go down this, and if you understand all of these things, and you'll notice down here at the bottom, look at this. It says the resultant vector is the sum of the added vectors components, and these are the relative equations, right? So we talked about this with like unit vectors and all that good stuff. So I know unit vectors were new this year. And so here, this is like using unit vectors I, j, k, and all that stuff. So you can use unit vector notation or as magnitude and direction. So magnitude and direction is kind of like physics 1 thing, unit vectors are physics 2. So again, if you're looking at any of these learning objectives here and you're not sure, then come over here and look at the more detailed list. And if there's anything on the list you're not really sure of, now is the time to figure it out, okay? So how do you use this list? Well, if you've actually filled this out for yourself, like I said, this is mechanics and we have the other one for E&M, well then you know what you should be studying. Because again, now it's time to review. It's time to get ready for that test. When you're looking at this, if, for say Unit 1, you've got mostly check marks here, guess what? This is not a good area for you to study. The area for you to study is where you have very few check marks, right? Because that's where most of your points are gonna get. If you've got like 90% of these check marks filled out, then just study whatever, right? But most of you guys will, hopefully you already know, but this should help you confirm not just what you need to know, but where you're weak at, okay? So now, let's go to AP Classroom. So another thing that can help you, because we've been using AP Classroom this year, if you guys are all on AP Classroom, right? So if you switch over there, you see this section says reports. Yours is slightly different than mine, but you can do the same thing. You click on reports, and then you have these different things here. So we're gonna go to content, skills, and performance. So again, this is not something I showed you at the beginning of the year because it's not useful until you've been doing stuff. So here, notice that I'm gonna do all students. It's gonna be broken down by unit here, and we're just gonna look at the MCQ for right now. We'll switch to the FRQ in a second. So what are you gonna see? So it's gonna break down every unit for us in mechanics that you guys have actually done problems on. not just assigned, but the ones you guys have actually attempted to solve, okay? So this is broken down by units. And you can see here for mechanics, most of these are in green. We just took that practice test and every single one of y'all passed it. This does not surprise me. What's your weakest area?
Energy, momentum, and rotating systems.
Energy and momentum of rotation. Are y'all surprised by that?
Not at all.
You're like, no, I thought I was really good at that. Oh, dang. Okay.
That's definitely the hardest thing.
Like kinematics? Oh, that's where y'all killed it, right? But I can go, and y'all should be able to see the same thing for you, right? Now, if you, personally, you might see things that say like, if it's grayed out or it says NA, that means that you didn't do any problems in that particular category. But we can change it. We can break it down by skill, stimulus type, topic, or unit. But look, this is the interesting part. If you look by topic, and I hit apply, right? So it's gonna generate the same thing, but broken down by topic. So give it a second here. And so now, do y'all see that it says 1-1 scalars and vectors? Do y'all see that? That's exactly the thing that we were talking about right here, 1-1 scalars and vectors. So it's broken down on these, so AP Classroom is broken down on these, but in the learning objective, these are broken down further. Do y'all see that? So like 1.2 is composed of these 3 learning objectives, but in AP Classroom, it's only gonna give you that one. And so what I would do is I would look at this, and you can look at your data, right? You can look at your data, and if you're looking at, let's say 1.2, and you weren't super great, y'all were super great at this, but if you weren't super great at 1.2, you can actually go back to that learning objective sheet that I gave y'all earlier, and you can kind of hone in on which one of those 3 things wasn't so great.